something a little bit different. I'm actually going to talk to you about my trip to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We were gone for about 11 days, and it was a pretty exciting experience for me, mostly because I've never been abroad. The only other country I've been to besides that has been Mexico, which I wouldn't really consider abroad. So this is my first time really flying outside of the continent somewhere, I should say. So it was a really kind of interesting experience. Honestly, in the days leading up to it, I was just really anxious, trying to pack everything, put everything together, and honestly, I was actually a little bit nervous about the duration of the flight. And when I say that, so it was honestly my longest flight ever. The flight we arrived in Germany at the Frankfurt airport. We actually went to Mainz, which was about 30 minutes or so away. That was about a 9-hour flight. It was, honestly, I'm not one of those people that can sleep on the airplane. So once we got there, because we left around 2 something in the afternoon, we got there, it was like 10 in the morning. So none of us had really slept at all. I was just so tired at that point because it was like 2 or 3 in the morning our time. And so when we got there, we made it for a few hours because we had this little orientation with our travel group. I know a lot of people say, and the recommended advice is to kind of power through it and just go to sleep on the new time. So basically you just stay up. And honestly, it was just exceedingly hard because I will physically start hurting. And my body was physically hurting from the lack of sleep. So I absolutely had to take a nap, and we took a nap for about 3 hours. I mean, it wasn't too terribly long in the middle of the day through the rest of the day, just because I was just so physically. So after that, we had a really cool European German dinner, and I'd say the food was fairly consistent throughout all 3 dialects. Kind of like how you'd find in, let's say, China, for example. They have different dialects. It's kind of like that in Germany, and although they're speaking the same language, there are some countries, I think it was Switzerland, they tend to be more formal, like speak. And so yeah, it was a really awesome experience. Once we got some sleep, the first day we spent taking this cruise. We saw a couple of awesome castles. Some of the days we would just honestly spend shopping around, looking at all the different shops, and of course I spent way too much money. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's a trip of a lifetime, so you just go for it. And I bought hella stuff, and honestly going there, I feel like we each kind of overpacked a little bit because I was expecting, when you eat out, I've heard that a lot of you dress up for dinner, a little bit more fancy. Honestly, my experience going out to dinner in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, it wasn't overly formal. I mean, I feel like it's pretty comparable to the US. A lot of people just wearing regular clothes. So I had all these nice dresses, right? So I felt a little overpacked. But the problem is when you're only staying at hotels and you don't have washing facilities, that can be kind of challenging. So it's kind of hard not to pack for every day, a clothing set for every day. But I packed a lot of leggings and pants, things you can wear multiple times. So that really wasn't an issue. I think with pants you can kind of get away with that a little bit more than you can with tops. So that was really cool. The first thing I noticed going into Europe was honestly the bathrooms. And the reason I say this, and this has always kind of been the bane of my existence, is that here in the US we have public restrooms with stalls that have slats in between it. Europeans come to the US, it's like, what the hell, you know? It's just yeah, it's whose idea was it to have cracks in the bathroom stalls where anyone can just walk by and peer in? I mean, I never understood it. So honestly, going to a public, they have, it's like you enter, and we have, once in a while, I'll go to a restaurant or something, and they'll have bathrooms like it. It's kind of like a little, like it's like walking into a closet and using the bathroom. Like everything is closed off. It feels like a little closet. So I'll call it a water closet, because if you say a bathroom, they'll think you mean you need to shower. Or if you say a restaurant, so you would need to say either toilet or a water closet. I was actually in a part of here. I kind of liken it to tolls here in the United States. Like you get it on and off the freeway, you have to pay a couple of cents for the toll. It's the same thing with the bathroom. 50 cents every time you use the bathroom. But the nice thing about it is wherever you're stopping, they'll give you like the 50 cents back in a little voucher, and you can use it towards something in the shop, a coffee, a souvenir. Another one is paying for water. Paying for water is a big thing in Europe. Another big thing is they don't just drink regular water, they drink mineral water. So that carbonated soda type water stuff that you guys see around, that's what they drink, like the plain stuff. And it's usually about like a few bucks a pop. So that's one thing that you need to be prepared for. You will be paying for water everywhere. And when we were at Oktoberfest, you know, those Pellegrino water things, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, we spent a lot of times kind of touring around, seeing the city, trying to think of some of the other big things that we did. We went up to Eagle's Nest, which there's some history behind that with Hitler. In Germany, we were kind of driving through because they are that close. You can actually be driving a few hours into an entirely different country. So on our tour bus, and they would kind of like, you know, kind of like look at the bus real quick, and then, you know, sometimes they may want to happen to us. So we were fine with that. The next thing, okay, so we were eating a lot of wurst sausages, like this breaded pork or breaded veal, and potatoes. And Germans like to have potatoes, like Asian people like to have rice with almost every meal. So it's kind of like that. So Germans, it's like for Asian people, it's rice, and for German people, it's potatoes. Like, it's kind of like that. So we were having potatoes quite a bit. Honestly, by the end of the trip, we were kind of tired of having, because we're having it like every day. Honestly, I kind of miss it now. In hindsight, I miss it now. Because I feel like we don't get a whole lot of good German food in the United States. So honestly, yeah, I really miss that. Another thing, in addition to the schnitzel, is depending where you are, they'll serve different varieties of the schnitzel. Like, it can vary from Germany to Austria. They have kind of different things. Visited. They had this like street food hot dog stand, and they had a variety of different hot dogs with like garlic and all like the works, like all this variety of German hot dogs, like their own variety of like fries. So it was really neat. Called My Currywurst, and it's kind of like a street food, fast food type wurst, sausage with a variety of different sauces. They have like Americanized ones, they have Mexican themed ones, they have Asian type ones, and they were like amazing. It was so good. And I forget the one that I got. Yeah, it was the fusion sort of type food. I really loved it. I think I had currywurst like twice. Yeah, it was just like one of those places like I had to stop there because they had a few. The churches are very beautiful. And I don't think we went to any in Austria, but we saw some. So in all those places, they have really amazing churches, very beautiful. Better about preserving their architecture than Americans are, especially in California. California, they don't give a shit about. I feel like they don't give a shit about historic buildings. Just tear them down. Just kind of like if you're in the Bay Area, you know, like the Century Theaters, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, another thing is the food is extremely fresh there, and rich because they use a lot of butter, very kind of like more rich butter and cream, and just everything was absolutely amazing. Like, I can't even begin to describe that. I went to a Starbucks in Switzerland, and mind you, it was $7 for a tall. It was a lot less sweet than American Starbucks. It was just more, you can taste the flavor. Same thing with the food. Like we have a lot of sweet, we have a lot of overly fat things in United States, but everything like is so much, like you can taste the flavor. Like it's like the salad dressing isn't overly sweet. It's a lot sweeter there. There's a lot less sugar and all of their food and drinks, and yeah, so that's what I really love about it, because I really, honestly, I can't really stand most American drinks because it's just like loaded with sugar, and it's just, yeah, I just can't do it. Drink normally, but like whenever I have a beverage there, like it's satisfying and not like overly sweet, you know what I mean? And even the McDonald's, like the McDonald's we went to, I got like some dragon fruit, like crispy dessert thing, and I didn't try the burgers, but I saw like this pretzel bun burger. And that's another thing, pretzels, like we got tired of pretzels at the end of our trip because pretzels are everywhere, and honestly they've been something I've been wanting to try, an authentic German pretzel, since I took German over 15 years, so I don't, I only remember like bits and pieces kind of, and like bits and pieces about the culture and different things like that. But I love the pretzels, but again, at the end of the trip, like you get tired of it. But the pretzels were really awesome, everywhere again. And they have pretzel burgers at their McDonald's. Otherwise, I feel like their McDonald's wasn't that terribly different. I tried a hamburger just to see what it tastes like there, but we were like being provided food like left and right, so the opportunity didn't really present itself, and I just honestly wanted to try the authentic food as much as possible. And another thing, in addition to the current jam that I see or saw on all of our schnitzel dinners, is that currants are sold everywhere. So like these little red berries, I just buy them. I saw them at fruit stands. It's a big thing there. And honestly, I wish we had them more here. And I guess they're in colder parts of the like more colder climates. Like I think it said like Washington. Well, it's like a state you could probably find currants, like fresh currants, because we don't have them here. They also have currant juice. Currant juice is really tasty, because I'm not a beer drinker or a wine drinker, and that's mostly what that. So currant juice is really good. So another big thing is there's next to no poverty there, and why? That is because they have universal health care. I don't know why the U.S. is just so anti-healthcare, anti-socialist, because you see in places like the European Union, they all get health care. They all get provided health care. And another thing I really liked is that you spend over like $25 to $50, there's some sort of tax form where you can get your taxes back on items you pay, because the taxes on things that are sold in Europe or in euros, when we went to Switzerland, it was the currency was Swiss francs. You could get that money back. So the nice thing about Europe is that the tax is factored into the price that you see. So like in the United States, we have this extra tax, right, on in addition to the price. But when you go to Europe, like the price you see, that's the price you pay, because like the tax is already factored into it. And honestly, I think that's kind of a nice and better system to use. Personally, I really like that. So that's a really awesome system. As I said before, like everyone there is paid an honest wage. Tipping is appreciated, but not necessarily expected. Again, because everyone is paid an honest wage. They don't really have, I think most other places don't really have the whole tipping culture like we have in the U.S. Like you have to tip 15%. They don't. Most other places don't have that, and I think a lot of people would be mind blown if they realize that, because people are like, oh my God, you're a bad person, you didn't tip. But in reality, a lot of places, so like you're not a horrible person if you don't tip. I mean, I think people need to not have the mentality. I know here it's necessary because depending on which state you're in. Here in California, servers get paid the minimum wage, which is anywhere from like, I think, an hour plus your tips. So just a quick FYI. But yeah, and yeah, so we hardly saw any poverty. Mass transit is so much better. I mean, cars are extremely expensive to have there, and gas is extremely expensive at like $6 or $7 a gallon. But if you live somewhere that's fair, watching this, Astrid from the X-Files community, we met up for the second time because I met her at X-Files X-Fest 2 in Chicago, and she was a really sweet gal. We met up in Mainz, my first day in Germany, and I was extremely jet lagged, and she was super sweet and super patient with us, being like total noobs to like, I had this hash brown patty with like lox, which is a cured, it was like $12. And I mean, that's what you'd pay for a seafood item here in the United States, right? Maybe a third of an avocado and it's like $1 or something, right? It was really good. And she was really awesome and sweet. We had a great time. And yeah, so she said that, and it only took her 15 minutes for her to get to our hotel. That's how great the transit system is around there. You could just hop on a metro, and like you're there within like 10 or 15 minutes, like from your house to your next destination. And those buses run pretty like frequently, like every San Francisco, like they come really frequently that you don't really need to drive because the mass transit is just so much better there and more reliable. So that's what I have to say about that. I think that's really cool. And then guns. As a lot of people know, I don't want to get too political or anything, but even here in California with strict gun laws, people manage to get guns from other states and still bring them in. And we had a couple of horrible shootings here. Grew up, and in the European Union, guns are banned completely. I mean, completely. Like, for example, we went to Oktoberfest in Munich. Oktoberfest is a huge deal. Like, I'm talking 50,000+ people at a huge carnival. There's a lot of beer halls. There are like carnivals. I didn't see a whole lot of kids. I saw some maybe teenagers, because I believe the drinking age there is around 16 or so. And so the security was pretty minimal. They had people like kind of around the area, but they just kind of like maybe kind of quickly glance at your purse or your black backpack, and that's it. There's nothing real rigorous. And for an event that size, like, we can do that here in the United States without like metal detectors, without people like scanning you, without people like looking in your bags, banning water, banning all kinds of stuff. Like, we couldn't do that here. And we have like rigorous security at much smaller events here because of the shooting problem. And the European Union having banned guns in all of Europe has made it a much safer place. I mean, of course they have more of an issue with, I think, knife crime, people using knives. But they don't have the mass shootings that we have here because of their rigorous gun control. And that was a huge eye-opener. I think like single or double beds, and they're pushed together to form a queen bed. So I guess that's really common. And then there's like individual sheets and comforters to go like with each mattress, and it just feels kind of weird, like if you're a married couple and you're technically sleeping in separate beds, but it's like pushed together, and I don't know, it's really kind of weird. Apparently you can request just one big bed, but all the beds we had, like, they have like their individual like sheets and stuff, and they're all pushed out. Like, I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. And in a lot of the hotel rooms, the lights were off and outside of the bathrooms. That's not like super crazy or anything like that. We have a lot of that here. Yeah, everything tastes so much better. If you go to a hot tub or a sauna in Germany, specifically, not so much Austria or Switzerland, but My dad had gone into one of the saunas with his swim trunks on, and apparently someone told him that you have to take your swim trunks off. You can't wear your swim trunks. It's not sanitary. Of course, when he went in, everybody, and it was co-ed, so men and women, completely naked in the sauna. And in Europe, it's no big deal. Like, I mean, I know in Japan they kind of have stuff like that, like with hot springs and public bathing, but it's usually like women and then like men, like kind of separated out. But no, this was co-ed. And then my dad's girlfriend came along, wearing her swimsuit, of course, shortly after him, and they told her, and she was just like completely shocked. Like her mouth just dropped, and so I guess she just wrapped herself in a towel and just kind of like looked down the whole time. And I honestly wanted to check out the jacuzzi at some point. A couple of the hotels didn't have one; they just mostly had saunas, so I was a little bit bummed because honestly, I was just curious. I was curious to see what that environment was kind of like. But I think most of them, they were mostly saunas, and, you know, it was mostly people, like, that was kind of a culture shock, just, like, hearing about it, like, I'm like, oh my god, I could have gone in the jacuzzi and, like, seen people nude or whatever, I don't know. And I know, like, even here in the United States, we have, like, nudist resorts or whatever, but I've never been to one. I'm curious, but, yeah, it's just, yeah. So, that's a thing, just so you know, if you go somewhere and there's a sauna or a hot tub, you can't wear your swim clothes. And I know going on our trip, a lot of people were concerned about whether or not we needed to speak German or to understand German. And I kind of knew this already from taking German class. And this is not only true for Germany specifically, but for most of Europe. People learn English as a second language in like the second or third grade. So most of the younger generation Germans or Europeans know English as a second language. So they may speak with an accent. It's also British English. They learn British English because, you know, American English, I mean, the kids know British English because, you know, American English is not the best form of English because of all of our little derogatory words or, you know, different things. So, they teach the purest form of English, basically. So, we didn't have any issues. Most people, you know, I think most people spoke German, of course. Me basically just means morning. So I said Morgan back to him because I station, really. And so I'm mostly speaking English. So it's like I'd be going into a shopping store and they'd be speaking to me in German, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, only English. And but yeah, and most people there, I think there was only like one or two occasions where there was one restaurant where like literally no one spoke English, and like they had several English patrons, so that was a little surprising. But that, try to learn some, it definitely helps, and I definitely like going there. I mean, I honestly didn't think, I just like, life's been crazy. I didn't like try and like study any words or whatever, and it's been used the euro, and of course United Kingdom, they use pounds, and when we went to Switzerland, it was Swiss francs. Okay, so if you go to a pub or if you go to like a casual restaurant, there's a lot of communal dining in Germany. So you go and sit down, someone will pop up sitting right next to you. It's just kind of like a huge bench, and it's just kind of like they're all kind of connected, so people just kind of come and sit together. Noticed, and also some Italian restaurant that we went to. So that was pretty cool. Okay, yeah, so we did a lot of shopping. The only thing that we used Gate 1 Travel. If you are interested, I'll link their information below. They have really awesome travel deals. I'd say the only thing that's kind of tough when you're doing a tour is that, especially if you're seeing multiple, countries or cities is that you don't have a whole lot of time to kind of be on your own unless you choose to. We had a lot of tours, although if you tell your tour guide in advance, like let's say you have a whole day in the city and you can do the tour with the main group, and some are optional tours, like you can just ask, you say, hey, I just want to spend the day doing my own thing. That's totally okay. We went to the Eagle's Nest. I honestly wouldn't pay the price that we paid for it again. It was about $75 a person, mostly because we took our tour bus over there, then we took another bus up. The whole thing was like over within an hour and a half, so I just feel like it wasn't, mostly because it was a very rainy day. It was very dreary. It was very foggy. So when we got up to the Eagle's Nest, like they took you up this really windy mountain to like this little house, and there's this tunnel, but like there's supposed to be a very spectacular view, but we couldn't see it because it was just so foggy and rainy. So we weren't there very long. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it again, but it's one of those things where you don't do it every day, right? We maybe took one more day in Munich before we left, because we left from Munich. I forget which airport that was. Yeah, I think the airport was also in Munich, a little further out. Just because like we didn't really have much time because of the tours and the Oktoberfest. We didn't really have much time to explore the city, which was kind of a bummer. But Munich is where we went to Oktoberfest, popular festival attire. I also noticed that like here in the United States, it's become especially prevalent in wine bars. And I don't want to get like too political with that either, with like my thoughts on that. If you know me, you know my thoughts on that. But in Europe, it's not prevalent. And although they have a much younger drinking age, I feel to bring children into those types of places, like, where people are drunk, it's just kind of like there's a specific vibe that you have going on a brewery where it's just not conducive to having children there. And so I didn't really see too many young and so when we were at Oktoberfest, we went pretty early in the morning. My dad had reserved a tent in the $300 something for a reservation for 8 people. So that was supposed to include like a half a chicken and 2 type thing. They basically just like threw on the discount, or the $300 as a discount, rather than like what he initially paid for the reservation towards the bill. So I don't know, there was some mix-up. I honestly wouldn't recommend it. A lady came by selling these little, and the lady just like took the rest of her money and didn't give her the change. She gave her 20. And when the bill came, not only there was the bill mishap, and trying to explain it to, I think the cashier may not have spoken much English, and trying to like get around euros, not dollars. She went down and put a $50 euro into it, and so my sister-in-law found out that happened. She was like absolutely livid, and so I don't know. It was just really shady. Just how everything was handled. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're gonna go there, you can just go find a place there and grab a beer. I don't know if it's because we're tourists or whatever. I don't know. We just felt really ripped off. So I can't recommend that. If you're gonna go to Oktoberfest, I would just go and drink a beer somewhere. Just get there early, because but by the time we left, close to 5, it was really crowded. It was like crazy, like pushing through people. People were barfing. Bathrooms are getting kind of disgusting. But yeah, they had all these like really cool souvenirs. So we got all these souvenirs, and that was really awesome. And yeah, so it was a cool thing. I'm being an introvert. I don't really like huge crowds like that. Would I do it again? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I know I wouldn't go to that brewery thing again. I don't know. Once was enough for me, just because, as I said, I'm an introvert, and I don't really like super crowded spaces. So yeah. So that's kind of what I think. It was really cool to experience once. And we're already talking about our next trip. We're talking about perhaps going to Italy next year, visiting a few key cities there in one spot. Maybe a slightly shorter trip, so we're talking about that. Yeah, I'm just like so excited. Like, it's kind of like, I'd liken it to getting a tattoo. Like, once you get a tattoo, like, it's addicting, right? It's kind of like the same thing with travel. Like, once you like experience like a different country, like it's kind of addictive, like you want to do it again, right? So yeah, I have some things on my bucket list that I really want to do and see. And one of them being Japan. So it's not a cheap place to visit. It's one of the more expensive countries in addition to like Australia. Planning on making that happen because it's just like it's been a dream of mine since I was a teenager, and it just needs to not be a dream anymore. I'm putting my goals in place, my plan of action together, and yeah, I'm gonna make that happen. I think Italy might come first though, and I'm really excited about that because I am part Italian, so that'll be a really awesome place to check out, and I'm also part German too. So yeah, it's one of those things that yes, some of those places I really want to visit. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If you're planning a trip to Europe, if you have been to these places as to places to visit next time, I'd love to hear that also. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.